And I think we're live. We're live on YouTube anyway. Not sure what's happening with Facebook. It says starting. Anyway, hello YouTubers. Very good evening to you. I know there's a number of you waiting. Seems to be an issue with the Facebook feed. This could be interesting. This could be the most short-lived episode of Live Irish Myths ever. Good evening to you all anyway. Hope you're well. Something amiss with Facebook. Okay. That's interesting. That's never happened before. It says starting live video, but I've had no indication that it's actually doing anything other than starting. Stu, the wood carving druid. Interesting name there. Good evening to you. Erica Bow. Hello, Erica. Daisy Peters. Sandrine Brady is watching. Hello, Sandrine. John Main is in San Francisco. Says it's a sunny day there. Great stuff. John, we had a fine day here in the Boyne Valley. Mandy McCurl is watching. Hello, Mandy. Jackie Stevenson is watching. Hello, Jackie. And I think the Full Irish GK is also watching. Good evening to you. And Stu, the wood carving druid, and Stephen Walker. We have a serious problem with Facebook, folks. Could be a couple of minutes sorting this out. I'm going to have to stop that. Just going to try that again, just in case. It just says starting live video, and it won't proceed. Okay. Never had that before. How do I do this now? I wonder, do I restart the phone? Is that the only thing that'll happen? Apologies to the YouTubers. Going to have to yeah, I'm going to have to, I think I might have to restart the phone. I do apologize.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Just turn off the phone. Restart. Okay, let's try that. All right. And in the meantime, I shall just alert the Facebookers that there are some technical issues. That's live TV for you, especially when you don't have any engineers in studio. How are you all keeping anyway? Happy Lughnasadh to you. That is, of course, the theme of today's broadcast. I have never seen Dancing at Lughnasadh, John Main. That's incredible. I've never seen it. So that's one I have to go and watch. Martin Smith says, good evening. Hello, Martin. How are you? Mariana Dunn is in the house. Hello, dear Tua and Anthony from almost stormy Virginia. Switched over to YouTube from Facebook. I don't know what's going on Facebook. Ian Nolan says hello from Richmond in Virginia. Hi, Ian. Debbie Daly says hi, Anthony and Artua. Gia Glitch. Kirsten is in the house. And Erica Bow says it's hot in San Antonio in Texas. Patricia Langton says hi, Anthony. Apologies, folks. Any of you who are coming across from Facebook, there is a problem with the Facebook feed. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'm going to try again here now. I'm going to create a post. Go live. Sorry, I have to type this in. Live Irish Myths, episode 109. Wow. Nope, mistyped that. Apologies again. Hope you're all great. Most entertainment you've had in a while anyway. Let's see if this works. Let's try again now. Let's keep the fingers crossed here. And it appears to be working at last. I do apologize to the Facebookers a few minutes later than expected. The YouTubers are having a great time. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but it said starting live stream, and it didn't start. It just got stuck. So I had to restart my phone. Anyway, without further ado, welcome to Live Irish Myths, episode 109. I'm Anthony Murphy of Mythical Ireland. You're all very welcome to Teach Mhorchu, to the Murphy House, and specifically to the Mythical Ireland Library here in the Boyne Valley. It's been a week, but it's not going to be a week till the next one. A little bit of a surprise tonight. We are talking about the Festival of Lughnasa and the mythical origins of same. And the celebrations and customs associated with Lughnasa. There is far too much information to be fit into one episode, so we're going to have to do at least two. My proposal is to do episode 2 tomorrow evening, rather than leave it for a week, that we should perhaps try to deal with it together. I've already said hello to a lot of the YouTubers because they were their feed happened automatically as usual. The Facebook feed was a little bit late coming on, so I'm just catching up to make sure I haven't missed anyone else. Lloyd Stillwell is in Missouri in the USA. Dorothy Scanlon says, happy Lughnasa from Maryland, USA. And right back at you, Dorothy. Happy Lughnasa to one and all. Joe Butler, refreshing Facebook when you give the say-so. It's working now, Joe. Daisy Peters is saying hello to others. Laura Carnes says hi from Texas. Jigich, Laura. Marianne Kindia says, Marianne Dunn Kindia from Connecticut. Hi all, hope you're well. I will catch video later. Good stuff, Marianne. Good evening to you. Trononawa. Stephen Walker, curious when my new print of Island of the Setting Sun will ship out. It is being printed at the moment in Biddle's printers in the UK, in Britain. I'm hoping to have copies in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. And as soon as I get them, I'll be packaging them up to all those who pre-ordered. So thank you for that. Nancy Ackers says, so thrilled to be listening live for the first time. Welcome along, Nancy. It's great to have you. Welcome to Live Irish Myths and welcome to the Mythflix community. Just getting a tissue ready because the usual thing is going to happen. Oh dear. Yeah, the old allergies. Of course, I didn't take my allergy tablet today, did I? Okay. So welcome, Nancy. And Nancy says that she's in San Francisco. Brilliant stuff. Kendall says, happy Lughnasa from Oregon. Thank you, Kendall, and happy Lughnasa to you. Emer Galvin, good evening, Anthony, and all. Really looking forward to this. Good stuff. Excellent. And on Facebook, now they're rolling in. Lloyd Stillwell, who's also on YouTube, says, that's better. Hi, Lloyd. Desiree Riley is watching. Hello, Desiree. Helen Guinan is in the house. Your Majesty, what is going on? Your Majesty, I do apologise, but the feed was about 4 minutes late starting because of a hitch. And I know someone's head will roll, but hopefully it won't be mine. Paula Snow Queen says hello. Paula, Eva Anderson says, yay, it's working. I've looked forward to this for a week. Well, as I say, all going well, we're going to do the second part of the Lughnasa double tomorrow night. So you're going to get an extra treat this week. Adina Sparks says, afternoon all. Giagach, Adina. Barbara Barney is in the house. Falcha, Barbara. Judy McQueen says hello. Falcha, Judy. Sai B says hello. Giagach, Sai. Gina Petrea is watching. Hello, Gina. Lovely to see you. Trinonawa. Jim Conway is in the house. Banachty, Jim. Aaron Durrett is watching. Sláinte, Aaron. Hope you're well. Angel Barboni Smith says hello. Giagach. Sounds great. Good stuff. Rolf Waldron says good evening to the Tua from Othleague. Thank you, Ralph. It's good to have you along. Alice Casterton says, "Way evening, Anthony and Tua. Happy Lughnasa for wherever you are. For whenever you are all doing it. I think the full moon is tonight here in Albion. Yeah, lovely moon last night creeping over the houses across the way. Joe Butler is here. Says greetings and hooray for a bonus episode. Brilliant. Margaret Ring is watching. Hello, Margaret. Yvette Tillema says hi. So glad to be here. We are glad to have your company, Yvette. Nick Eska Casterton says good evening and happy Monday, Anthony, and the legendary Tua. Indeed, indeed. Aren't they fantastic? Rex Fortenberry says Banachty o Baton Rouge. Gomé de la Lughnasa Rower August Honna. Yes, indeed, Rex. And greetings of the festive season to you also, where we're celebrating the harvest. Kristen Gray Taggart says hello all. Hope you're all well today. It's hot here in Northern California. It was a pleasant day in the Boyne Valley. Cloudy with sun breaking through at times. No rain, which was fabulous. Dial Workman says, aloha from Hawaii. Hello, indeed. Good morning to you. Aaron Durrett says, wonderful to be back at the first episode. Sorry, at the fireside again. I can't see the background. Love and happy Lughnasadh to you all. Yes, indeed, Aaron. Great to have you at the fireside. Steve Martinson says, looking forward to today's episode. Bless you all. Best of health and prosperity. Thank you, Steve. And the same to you. Tom King is watching. Hello, Tom. Donald McAuley says, try hard. Okay. Thank you, Donald. Don't know what that means, but anyway, we'll keep moving. Neil Hughes says, Turnonawa from Coatbridge in Scotland with Mary and Neil. Tea and wine in place. Why break old habits? John Noonan says, Jean in the town, Dundalk. Just between us, strictly not for repeating anywhere else. I have Dundalk connections in my family. Just between us. Janet Moran says, success. Hello, Anthony from Boston. Hello, Janet. Doris O'Hara says, hi, Anthony and everyone. Giagich. Kelly Nikelly. Kelly? Oh, Kelly. Kelly Nikelly says, hi all. I miss daily streams, but it makes Mondays a special treat. I kind of miss them, but then I don't. I needed the time to do other things, including getting Island of the Setting Sun to print again. Freya's Johome says, better late than never. Trinonawa Anton August Magical Tua. Falcha Freya. Sheila Murphy Weekly says, rainy West Virginia day here. I just baked bread. Well, come on. Are you going to share it round? Send me a slice in the post. No, wait, better not. Michael Naylor, Mike and Janetta in New Jersey, in Princeton. Good evening to you both. Lovely to see you again. Alison Clipsham says, blessings at Lughnasadh, everyone. Nice to be here again. Sláinte, Alison, Banachty. Julie King says, hello all. Hope you're all well. In good form, Julie. Carol Barrett says, Lughnasadh blessings to you all from Galway. August, straight back at you. Condaloo, Carol. Margaret Ring says, hello, Anthony, and all the lovely Tua. Indeed, Margaret. Long time no talk. Erica Rivertree says, Banachty o Louisville, Kentucky. Blessed Brown Trogan, which I was going to mention. Thank you, Erica. Brilliant. Jerome McClure says, hello from the O'Neill County. Is that Tyrone? Hello, Jerome Falcha. Ali Athy Thompson says, hello, Anthony. Hope you're keeping well. Yes, in fine form. And I hope you're also well, Ali. Chuck Wyatt says, hello to a fellow ham radio operator. 7-3 from Whiskey 1, Charlie Echo Whiskey. Chuck in Rhode Island. I wonder if we ever had a QSO, Chuck. But anyway, Sláinte from EI2KC. Trina Ní Irk says, happy Lughnasadh. Good to see you all again. Indeed, it is lovely to see you, Trina. Aaron Durrett is welcoming Nancy. Yes, Nancy, you will get a big welcome to the tour. Desiree says, hi, Anthony. You have made Monday my favorite day of the week. I would just love an extra episode tomorrow. It's hot here in Louisiana. So happy to have Mythflix to escape to during the unbeatable heat of the day. Brilliant, Desiree. Yes, planning to do part 2 of Lughnasadh tomorrow evening, all going well. So good. I know, bonus, huh? It's just far too much to try and spread out to next week. I think we should do it in the week that, not that Lughnasadh was necessarily concentrated into one day or 1 week, but let's keep it all together. Eva Anderson says, happy Lughnasadh, everyone. I had a lovely celebration with friends on Saturday here in Gothenburg, and now I'm on the balcony waiting for the moon to rise. Well, I hope that's a lovely sight, Eva. Tom King says, good evening, Anthony, all the mighty tour. Hope the locals had a lovely bank holiday. Best part of the day, dram, topped up, and story time. One of the places, I was on a whirlwind tour of the Boyne Valley today with my son. And one of the places I visited was the Hill of Tara. I did not get out of the car. It was thronged with people sitting around eating ice creams and quaffing coffees and all that sort of thing. Just didn't fancy getting out. I would have had a mask on, but it just seemed to me busier than I would have liked it to be. But anyway, glad to see the coffee shop open. Glad to see the old bookshop open. But I'll get a chance to go up when it's a little bit less busy, hopefully. Ger O'Neill says hi. Sláinte, Ger. Janet Moran, hail to the Queen. Yes. Louise Sherrill says hello. Giagich, Louise. Joe Butler is bowing to Helen. Helen, I'm telling you, you've commanded the obeisance of the entire crew. Annie Red Wolf Murphy. What a name. My wife's name is Anne Murphy, but not with the Red Wolf bit in between. Hello, Anne, or Annie Falcha. Alwyn Roy Badziak is in the house and says hello from Berkshire. Giaglich. Falcha, Alwyn, you're very, very welcome along. Patricia Healy Sullivan. I tried to pre-order, but US card did not convert, or else I'm broke. Patricia, I did send you an email. Please, I think it's you. just check your emails when we're finished. Hopefully we'll be able to sort it out. But I definitely did get an order, and I think it was from yourself. So Annie says she's in Southern Oregon. Fáilte, brilliant. Donna Firer is in the house. So glad I'm here for a bit of live time. Still in Maryland. Wish I were in the Boyne River Valley. It was fabulous today. New monument I found also with my drone today. Another one very close to the Boyne. Sharon Boggins Stitch says greetings to a happy to be able to watch today. And we're happy to have you in the house, Sharon. Charlene McLean Cosby says enjoyed your picks last night. Thank you. Thank you, Charlene. Glad you did. Kelly Edmiston is here. Goodness. Gremlins invasion tonight in your device. Yes, I hope it's okay now. Kelly, good to see you. Lois McCardle says hello, everyone. Giaguch. Nora Gaffney O'Connor. Giaguch, how are you all? See, lovely today, but warmer last night. Mad stuff, isn't it? Nora, good to have you along. Hope your dad's keeping well. Gabriella TG says hello, Giaguch. Barbara Murphy says hello to all my favourite Tua from Tucson. There has to be at least 3 or 4 Murphys in the house now, which is great. Excuse my pronunciation. Is it Kedomir or Sedomir Stojanovic? I want to live in Ireland so bad. Damn. I can understand that. But we'll try and bring some of it to you live. Actually, I should have done a live today I was up in the hill of Screen with my son. It was gorgeous up there. I forgot to do a live. We were taking pictures and I flew the drone in a few different places. We had a great day. Jack Cui says, is that Jackie? Sláinte. It is Jackie, yes. Been catching up on Mythflix, but here for a live Lughnasadh evening. My name is Jackie. Jackie, you're very, very welcome to Live Irish Myths. Anne McCallum is in the house. Hello, Anthony and the Mighty Tua from Windsor, Ontario. Okay, thanks so much for all the rain you've sent us, but we've really had enough now, so thanks very much. Okay, let's ease off on the rain in Ontario. Shannon Slater Tina says hello from California. Received my comet photo. Love, brilliant stuff, Shannon. Delighted to hear it. Thank you. Tom Shanahan is in New Zealand. Tom, good morning to you. What time of the day is it there? It must be ridiculous o'clock. What is it? Is it 4 a.m. or something? Fair play to you for joining us. We're very glad to have you. Someone hears Coda barking in the background. Okay, Paula Snow Queen. I'm in Dundalk, 14/17 this month. Megan Walter says hello. Fáilte, Megan. Terry Field says aloha from Maui, Hawaii. Another Hawaii watcher. Happy day to you and Mary Hanrahan. Fáilte, Terry. Welcome along. Diane Small is saying hello to somebody. Liam Smith says hello, Anthony, and it's been too long, but so looking forward to settling into another season. Yeah, it's great. Nancy Sterling says hello, Anthony. What do they say? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Hello, Anthony from Vermont, and happy Lughnasadh. Happy Lughnasadh, Nancy. Many happy returns. D. Nicarval. Well, that's O'Carroll, isn't it? Nicarval says hi from Wales. Fáilte, D. Welcome along. Sheila Murphy Weekly is showing us the bread that she has made. Well, icons. Laurie Ann says hello from Niagara Falls, Ontario. Fáilte, Laurie. Good day to you. Barb Jordan is in Florida. Hello, Barb. Nice to see you again. Anne Scott Doherty says hello from Grants Pass, Oregon. We have a lot of Oregoners in the house tonight. It is brilliant to see you all. Anita Sizemore King is in Ohio and says blessings, Fáilte, Anita. Brendan Byrne says good evening from a muggy Glendalough. Giaguch, Brendan. Do you live in Glendalough? What a fabulous part of the world to live in. Lucky you. But we're not jealous. We're very happy for you. Jerome McClure says, yep, Tyrone, brilliant stuff. That's the Northern O'Neills then. The medieval, hopefully the medieval students will get that. And then, well, that's an episode in itself, the Northern O'Neills and the Southern O'Neills. Sally Siggin says, great find with the new crop marks, Anthony. Yep. Was flying over the river today, and in the corner of the view, I spotted something and I flew over to it, and lo and behold, it was a 50-metre wide circular enclosure in a field of crops, not previously found or discovered before. So brilliant. Barbara Kling is in Vermont and says, hello, everyone. Happy to see you. Hope you're all doing well. Yes, Barbara, doing fantastic. Richard O'Mora says, all the dubs in Chicago are watching. Hello, Richard, Fáilte, and to all of the dubs anywhere you're watching from, but particularly Chicago. Nicola Kehoe is in Vienna. Fáilte, Nicola, lovely to have you along. Excuse me. Kimberly V. Halligan says hello to Anthony and the tour from New York. Brilliant. Susan Scott says hello. Giaguch. Melanie Corpy is in Georgia in the USA and says hello. Fáilte, Melanie, you're welcome along. Joseph O'Hagan says hello from Kingdom of Mourne. Very, very nice part of the world. I have a terrific book about the... Well, let's not get distracted. I have a terrific book about the Mournes with some fabulous photography in it that I must show off someday. Daniel McCord says hello from West Virginia. Fáilte, Daniel. Brian Norton is in New Jersey. Giaguch, Brian, welcome along. Philomena Breen says, wishing you all well. Hello there, Anthony. Thank you, Philomena. Denise Murphy is in Connecticut. There's another Murphy. There has to be at least 5 or 6 of us now. Fáilte, Denise. Always nice to welcome another Murphy to the Murphy household. Hello from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, says Ilana Phillips. I love Ireland. I'm with you there, Ilana. Thank you for joining us. Gordon Stewart is watching. Hi, Gordon. There's at least two other radio amateurs watching, Gordon and a Whiskey One. I can't remember your full call sign, but anyway, it's good. We're having a little sort of miniature gathering of ham radio enthusiasts while also talking about mythology. Matthew Bessel says, Sláinte from Gatekells, awaiting the tropical storm blow on Lawnguy land. Fáilte, Matthew. Bethany Cutler says, hello from Idaho, came back to an increased hotspot and increased temperatures. Mark Gordon says, good day, Fáilte, Mark. Oh, my goodness me. Bernie Courtney says, good evening, Giaguch. Kelly Jensen is in Boulder in Colorado. Fáilte, Kelly. Kristen Murray Endre says, almost forgot. Glad I could run fast enough to make it to class. Hi, Anthony and the Tua, representing Chicago on a gloomy day here. Good afternoon, Kristen. Welcome along. Sharon Olson says, hello from Caledon, Ontario in Canada. A lot of Canadians watching this evening too. You're all very welcome along. Sean Fitzgerald appears to be in the house because I see Margaret Ring welcoming him. Fáilte, Sean. Great work that you're doing. Karen Dixon says, hello from Matthews, North Carolina. Sláinte, Karen. Snapper Earl says, hello, peoples. Hello, Snapper. Raymond Lawson says, hello, Giaguch. Kelly McKelly says, you can't have too many Murphys, and the second most popular surname in Ireland after Murphy is Kelly, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, good stuff. James Perry is watching. Hello, James. How are you? Ralph Waldron is saying hello to somebody. Simon Hughes is watching of Monumental Ireland. Evening, Anthony. Looking forward to this one. Well, I'd probably learn more from you about Lughnasadh than you would from me, but it's good to have you along. Donna Vickers is in Texas in the USA. Fáilte, Donna. Erin Durrett says, KF7, QCF here. Ham friends. Wow. Let's just scrap live Irish myths and let's just have a ham convention instead. Let's talk ham radio gear. I actually sold my rig because I'm waiting to get a new one. I sold my 756 Pro and I'm hoping to get an Icon 7300. I need to downsize because there isn't room on the desk for the bigger rig. Anyway, we're getting distracted. May Orton says hello from New Mexico. Fáilte. Trish Bailey is in Wyoming. Good evening. Robert Paradox Hampton says hello from Utah, USA. Hello, Robert. Very interesting middle name. Karen Faye O'Loughlin says hello from sunny Boulder in Colorado. Fáilte. Kelly Burns is in the Californian coast. Fáilte, Kelly. Wow. And Eileen Clancy Albert says hello from Cleveland in Ohio. Lisa O'Hare says, Lughnasadh blessings to all on YouTube. Fáilte, Lisa. Office Care, who are the Woodsies in Monaster Boyce, say, hello all, hope all are well. Anthony, this Mythflix is going on that long that we are now eating the spring veg we planted during the early days and are now planting the winter veg. Keep her lit. Interesting point that, isn't it? It's been going on for a while. Time is flying around. Oregonians, says Kendall. What did I say? Oregoners. Yeah, I knew I was wrong there. Seamus Mars is in the house also. Yvette Tillema jumped over to YouTube maybe, or the other way around. Fáilte. Curious Celt is in the house. Glad to be here. Yes, glad to have you here. D-Lynn, you just showed up. Interesting. Connor Pockle says Banachty, Lughnasadh, G of Tua Mythflix. Good evening, Connor. Where are we? Oh, my goodness me. Pardon me. Okay. So it behoves me to say to all of you a very, very happy Lughnasadh. Yvette Tillema says Whiskey 2 Hotel Alpha Tango was her dearly departed dad. Silent Key. Sorry to hear that, Yvette. Wow. So the whole ham thing is opening up a discussion. It's interesting. Kimberly Field Sipola says, hello, everyone. Fáilte. Pilar Goldstein D says, hello from Massachusetts. Jigwich. And Neil Harden says, Thronawa from Huntington Beach in California. Fabulous gathering tonight. Tonight's episode is the first of two dealing with Lughnasa. It is that time of the year when we begin to celebrate the Festival of the Harvest. Look what I picked up in the Boyne Valley today. An ear of wheat. I presume it's spring wheat because it hasn't been harvested yet. A lot of the winter crops have been harvested, so I've been keeping an eye on the fields. And so the main crops in Ireland in modern times that are grown and harvested are wheat, barley, oats, rapeseed. I think the other name for that is brassica. That's the one that gets all yellow in May, in the early summer, turns into vibrant yellow. What else? Small amounts then of other crops. A tiny little bit of corn, some potatoes, beans. But the main ones being wheat and barley. So I'm presuming, because this crop is still standing in the Boyne Valley today, that this is spring wheat planted in the spring. So the spring wheat and winter wheat, and the spring barley and winter barley. There's a crop of spring barley in the Drone Henge field, which is still growing, and by the looks of it won't be harvested for at least another couple of weeks. So I thought this would be an apt thing to bring with me for the Lughnasa celebration this evening, because, without this, there's no us. Without our ability to do this, we can't feed ourselves. And we've been doing this in the Boyne Valley. This was picked not far from the Boyne River. I won't give the exact location. Technically speaking, it was stolen, but I'd like to say that I borrowed it, and I will give back in other ways. But this was picked close to the Boyne River today in the Boyne Valley. And we have been growing and harvesting crops like this for 6,000 years in the Boyne Valley, which I think is incredible. The people who built Newgrange were the ones who brought agriculture, apparently. And the people who lived here when they arrived were hunter-gatherers, the Mesolithic people, the Middle Stone Age people. So let's talk about Lughnasa. I shall return it. That just reminds me something else. Anyway, getting distracted. Lughnasa. So Lughnasa is the celebration of the harvest. It's actually the celebration of the beginning of the harvest, of the ripening of the crops. It is said that harvest time in modern Ireland lasts until probably from the middle to the end of August. But it is said that autumn equinox marks the sort of middle of the harvest, and Samhain marks the absolute end of the harvest. But an old name, or an old Irish phrase for the harvest, was Brón Trogan. Now, Brón Trogan is, I think I've mentioned it before, a really, really beautiful one. It tugs at the heartstrings, because it actually means the earth sorrows. When you say, I am sad, you say, Tá brón orm, I am sad, or there is sadness on me. Brón Trogan, the earth sorrows. And the reason the earth sorrows is not because it has produced abundant crops and fruit, of course. It is because it is returning to a barren state for the winter months. And I suppose there is a sadness in it, that after all this wonderful, vibrant growth, and we've watched the growth of the sun and the lengthening of the days and the warming of the weather, that all of a sudden, not too far after midsummer, in fact, about 6 weeks, there's about 6 weeks between each festival. So in the old calendar, I don't know how far back this goes. We know it goes back at least to medieval times, but in my own work, I've said that I don't have any doubt that all of these cross-quarter festivals actually go back to the Neolithic. And so you had the solstices and equinoxes, but between those you had the cross-quarter festivals. The first one of the year is Imbolc, which we celebrate at the beginning of February, which is the halfway point in days between winter solstice and vernal equinox. Then we have the spring equinox in March. Then we have Bealtaine, which is the halfway point in days between the vernal equinox or the spring equinox and summer solstice. And Bealtaine really marks the point at which everything starts to really grow noticeably and all the leaves come on the trees and summer begins in earnest. Said with Samhain to be one of the two major celebrations of the year. Bealtaine at the beginning of the bright half of the year and Samhain the beginning of the dark half of the year. Then we have summer solstice, which was only, as I say, a little bit less than 6 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, here we are. We're at Lughnasa and we're celebrating the beginning of the harvest. From here, we work our way towards autumn equinox, which is in September. And 6 weeks after that, we're into Samhain, which is the beginning of the winter. And 6 weeks after that, we're at winter solstice. So everything is changing now. We're going to see a contraction in the days and much more noticeable contraction in the days from this point as we work our way through the autumn equinox, as we head towards Samhain. And so there's a kind of a sadness about that, isn't there? You know, that the year is turning and, you know, we're harvesting the crops, which is great, but, you know, we're heading towards the darker days and the colder days. In Ireland, I could say the wetter days, but that's not necessarily the case. It seems to do a lot of rain when it wants to. So just to briefly introduce Lughnasa, I'm just going to read a little bit from my favourite, James McKillop's Dictionary of Celtic Mythology. That's the Oxford Dictionary of Celtic Mythology. Lughnasa, also Lamaste Garland Sunday, Downach Crumdove Sunday, Bilberry Sunday, Frochan Sunday. It's from the Irish, Lu, as in the deity, the Tuatha De Danann deity, Lu Love Fada, Lu Samel Donach, Lu Mac Ethnan, Lu Lunanshklek. Am I missing one? I'm missing one. He has at least 5 different names. Lu, who gives his name to modern County Louth, which is where I live, by the way. And Nasa, or Nasa, an assembly or a festive or a commemorative gathering. And you'll remember that we've done several episodes in which we mentioned the henges and the assembly places. Angie Glass says, greetings from Switzerland. Folge. Aaron Durrett says, Anthony, 6 weeks times 7 days is 42. The answer to life, the universe, and everything. Well, there you go. Yeah. And so the first gathering was held in honour of Lugh's foster mother, Tailtiu. Now, she was married to Yuchi Mac Urk, who was the last of the king of the Fir Bullocks before they were defeated by the Tuatha De Danann. And when she died, Lugh initiated the Tailtiu Games, which are Tailtiu or Tailtiu in County Meath, Tailtown, the modern anglicisation of that name. Didn't we do an episode? We did. We did an episode about the Irish Olympic Games. Éanach Tailtiu was episode 53. Coda is in the house. I'm just going to paste in a link where you can see all the previous episodes. Pardon me. Didn't have dinner all that long ago. So I'll just refresh the page here and paste that in as a comment. So if you go back to episode 53, you'll see that we did an episode all about Éanach Tailtiu, which was the games initiated in honour of Lugh's foster mother, Tailtiu. Now, I just want to very briefly just address the dates. In modern Ireland, Lughnasa is, as a festival, is celebrated on the 1st of August. The month of August in Irish is Lughnasa. I think in prehistoric times, and I've written a bit about this, I think in prehistoric times, these festivals would have been tied to the astronomical cross-quarter dates. But there may also have been a lunar signifier for those. So they're halfway in days between, in this case, between summer solstice and autumn equinox. And as it happens, actually, today is the full moon, isn't it? So it is likely that it might have been held either on the full moon or, as I say, the exact halfway point. The exact halfway point this year is, depending on where you live, is on August the 6th, or in Ireland, it's in the early hours of August the 7th. So the proper day, if you want to do things traditionally by the old beliefs, you would be celebrating on the 7th. Fixed on the 1st of August in Ireland, but as I say, that's a modern thing. The festival can run between late July and the middle of August. A harvest festival celebrating the ripening of grain and, after they became plentiful, the maturing of potatoes. Lughnasadh commemorates Lughnasadh, one of the most prominent heroes of early Irish literature, derived from Lugos in Gaulish, or similar to, etc., etc. According to early Irish tradition, however, Lugh himself established the festival to honour his foster mother Tailtiu in Brea, northern County Meath, as I say, Tailtiu, on the banks of the Blackwater River, which is a tributary of the Boyne River, and the Blackwater and the Boyne River meet in Navan in County Meath. Lugh also led the horse racing and martial arts contests, so sounds interesting. And according to the book that I read in episode 53, these games were initiated centuries before the Olympic Games were first held. Soon, Lughnasadh celebrations were held in other parts of Ireland, at Awanmacha for Ulster and at Tara for the whole of the island. The Christian Church did not oppose the continuation of the festival marking the beginning of the harvest and the weaning of calves and lambs. Excuse me. But the different names applied to it obscured its pagan origin. Eventually, it broke away from its fixed time of 1st of August and might include many days, especially Sundays, from the 15th of July to the 15th of August. Comparable but much smaller fairs, not associated with Lugh or Lughnasadh, were held in Wales and in Cornwall. Lughnasadh and its counterparts provided a time for horse racing, horse swimming, and games of hurling. Celebrants might enjoy climbing to the tops of nearby hills, both to prey and to gather bilberries. Others would assemble at lakes and holy wells. Lughnasadh fairs might also include the buying and selling of goods, especially at Killorglin in County Kerry, Ballycastle in County Antrim, Ennistimon in County Cavan, and elsewhere. Moira McNeill's landmark study, which I'm going to read from, The Festival of Lughnasadh, published in 1962 by Oxford University Press, published in Oxford anyway. Let's have a look. Don't know why it says, yes, first published by Oxford University Press in 1962. McNeill's landmark study details the persistent and extent of the celebration. And so that's what we're dealing with, a time of harvest, a time when we're basically saying thanks we're saying thanks to the earth and perhaps to its attendant deities for the wonderful harvest, which in a good year will hopefully keep us going until the next harvest. And of course, that is an issue. I'm also going to read a little bit from one of my favourite books of all time, which is The Year in Ireland, Irish Calendar Customs by Kevin Danaher. I've read from this before. I think it was at Bealtaine, didn't we do a few episodes of Bealtaine? The first of the harvest. Look at my lovely butterfly-shaped bookmark. Everybody hoped to have the first crops ready for gathering at the traditional date which began the harvest. To cut any corn or dig any potatoes before this day came was considered improper. It was against custom and was taken generally as evidence of bad husbandry and extravagant housewifery. As regards oats and the earliest maturing potatoes, the hopes of harvest by the end of July were usually fulfilled, except in a very bad year, where only a part of the crop was ready. Some of it was garnered in honour of the occasion, and when it was still unripe, at least a small portion of it was taken. The newly gathered crop provided the main dish at a festive meal in honour of the day, and this was the first food eaten from the new harvest. Over the past 2 centuries or so, the meal consisted of new potatoes, garnished according to the means of the household, with cabbage, fish, fowl, bacon, or fresh beef or mutton. Now, if I had a choice from those, my first choice would be for bacon, followed perhaps shortly by some salmon. Here and there, however, the memory of an older custom survives, by which the festive dish came from the new corn, which, according to tradition, should be reaped on the morning of the day and made into bread or porridge before evening. The ordinary sequence of operations in preparing grain for food is reaping, threshing, winnowing, drying, grinding, and sieving. But this may be speeded up on occasion by the process known as burning in the straw, which combine the results of threshing, winnowing, and drying in one swift operation. I was just thinking about this yesterday. My tours of the Boyne Valley, I had one today and one yesterday with my son, and we had such a wonderful time this weekend. But on my way through Navan yesterday, for some reason, it just came into my head that we're very lucky, aren't we, that we have mechanization to do all this now. That we're lucky in a sense, but one wonders if we had to go back, if circumstances forced it upon us, how would we turn this into bread? What would we do to make this happen? It's an interesting one. All of this happens through mechanization. The combine harvesters pumping the grains into big trailers. They're taken off to big depots or factories, and we don't really know what happens to them after that. We just go into the shop and we buy our loaf of bread. You don't have to go back too many generations in Ireland, perhaps 2-3 generations, and people were basically making their own bread. Now, as I say, you buy it in the supermarket or the local store. In this, the whole sheaf, or the ear end of the sheaf, was set on fire, thus separating the grain from the straw, burning away the chaff and hardening the corn all at once. It only remained to shake or wipe the grain clean of ashes before grinding it in the quern. And very interestingly in that regard, you may have seen photos that I shared. On Friday, I visited the last day of excavations at Bowbeck here outside Drogheda, which were undertaken by Geraldine and Matthew Stout and their team. And they've been looking for the medieval grange of De Bello Becco, which was a Cistercian grange not associated with Mellifont Abbey, which is a curious one. But they did find evidence for the drying and export of grain. And in fact, one of the things they found in their first season of excavations last year was a corn drying or a grain drying kiln. And they even found some wheat grains still in it, so they could be sent off for laboratory examination, etc. And it's a fascinating insight into, as I say, how things used to be, that there were so many processes involved in turning wheat into bread, that it all happens automatically today for us, and we're very lucky for it. In his story, Shadna, chapter 30, on Tahar Padar Olera, describes how food was quickly prepared for an unexpected visitor. She went out into the haggard to the best corn stack that was there and pulled 2 good sheaves from the middle of the stack. She brought the 2 sheaves in. She swept the hearthstone and washed and dried it. Then she lit a bog deal splinter and burned the sheaves on the hearthstone. Only the straw and the chaff were burned, however. The grain was not burned, but finely dried, far better than on the flagstone of the mill. Yes, in the USA, corn is maize, but we're probably here talking about wheat. Then she gathered up the dried oats and took it outside, or oats in this case, and let the wind blow through it so that the ashes of the straw and chaff were thoroughly cleaned out of it. When it was nice and clean, she brought it in and put it in the quern and ground it. She then passed it through a coarse sieve and again through a fine sieve, so that not a bit of chaff remained in it. She then put the meal in a wooden bowl and stirred some fresh cream into it and put a spoon in the bowl and gave it to Shadna. He ate it and thought he had never eaten nor even tasted better food. It was so wholesome and tasty, so rich and full of energy. That this method of rapidly separating the grain from the straw and chaff was formerly a common practice in Ireland is shown by the fact that in 1634 the Dublin Parliament passed an act to prevent the unprofitable custom of burning of corn in the straw, which prescribed fines and imprisonment for those who do a great part, instead of thrashing, burn their corn in the straw, thereby consuming the straw, which might relieve their cattle in winter and afford materials towards the covering or thatching of their houses, and spoiling the corn, making it black, loathsome, and filthy. The practice is mentioned by many writers in the 17th and 18th century, but by the 19th it had become obsolete and was only done on rare occasions. Another welcome feature of the festive meal was fresh fruit. Those who had currants or gooseberries in their gardens, and this was usual even among smallholders in Munster and South Leinster, made sure that some dish of these appeared on the table. Sorry, I have to move my chair. Those who lived near heather hills or woods gathered freachán, frockens, or whortleberries or blueberries, which they ate for an after course, mashed with fresh cream and sugar, dessert. Similar treatment was given to wild strawberries and wild raspberries by those lucky ones who lived near the woods where these grow. Excuse me. Outdoor gatherings. In very many localities, the chief event of the festival was not so much the festive meal as the festive gathering out of doors. This took the form of an excursion of some traditional site, or to some traditional site. Just moving my cushion. I'm just a little bit lopsided. I feel better now. This took the form of an excursion to some traditional site, usually on a hill or mountaintop or beside a lake or river, where large numbers of people from the surrounding area congregated, travelling thither on foot, on horseback, or in carts and other equipages. Equipage. Rowan Grove is in the house. Hello, Rowan. Coda is making his presence felt, and a number of dogs in the vicinity are barking, so they're probably all communicating with each other. They're having their own Lughnasadh bark-in. Often the gathering place was somewhat remote, to be reached by climbing hill tracks or scrambling over rough country. For the young and active, this added to the enjoyment of the outing. For instance, it gave the young men the opportunity of helping the girls over the rough places and of showing off their agility and boasting of their prowess. It also meant that the older people and the smaller children, not able to travel the rugged ways, did not join in the outing. This meant less restraint on the merriment of the robust and energetic. Many of the participants came prepared to make a day of it, bringing food and drink and musical instruments, and spending the afternoon and evening in eating, drinking, and dancing. The young men engaged in tests of skill and strength in sports and games. The girls picked wild flowers and made them into garlands and nosegays. Almost always there were wild berries to be picked and enjoyed. Of course, at this time of year, I noticed today on my whirlwind tour of the valley, I noticed blackberries growing in a bush. Now, they're not just ready for the picking yet, but it's not far away. In H.S. Swan's romantic Inishowen, and of course Inishowen is the peninsula in the north of Ireland, jutting out in County Donegal, Mr. James E. O'Donnell describes such a gathering. One of the old customs of Inishowen consisted in all, or nearly all, the grown-up boys and girls of the 6 surrounding parishes meeting on Heatherberry Sunday at the spring called Shulatuber near the top of Slieve Schnacht, the highest mountain in the peninsula. Heatherberry Sunday was the Sunday before the Gooseberry Fair Day of Buncrana, which is the 26th of July. Met ostensibly for the purpose of gathering heatherberries, the boys and girls, when they came together on the mountain, turned the event into a social occasion. They danced, frolicked, sported, and generally enjoyed themselves. Amongst the games played were leapfrog and rounders, but duck was the most popular game. I played rounders was one of the games we played as children. I cannot now remember how to play it. Sorry, forgive me, I'm just trying to move something around here. And I have failed. Trust me for getting silly ideas. Anyway, leave it alone. Just going to move it. Just need to keep an eye on the clock. As a sequel to these chance meetings and mountaintop flirtations, many weddings resulted. The period of courtship usually continued from Heatherbury Sunday until Runaway Sunday, or Galloping Tuesday, as the Sunday before Lent and Shrove Tuesday were popularly called. A country wedding was then generally a big event. It ended with feasting and merrymaking and a céile lasting into the small hours of the morning. The origin of the Heatherbury Sunday, which was not confined to Inishowen, is lost in the mists of antiquity. But fashions have changed, and this old custom has in recent years almost entirely died out. I myself was for many years a regular attendant until the year 1909. I presume Galloping Tuesday meant that was the day upon which you decided you were going to marry the other person or gallop for the hills, run away, forget about it. Another typical hill outing was that still remembered in tradition in the 1930s by old people around Knock Fiorina in County Limerick. Knock Fiorina is a ridge of over a mile in length. It is not very high, 948 feet at its summit towards the eastern end, but as it rises abruptly from the Limerick plain, it is a noticeable landmark. The young people of the locality gathered for the celebration at the top of the ridge to the west of the conspicuous hump which forms the summit, and here they played games, flirted, danced and sang, ate and drank the dainties which had been brought with them, and picked freacháin, whortleberries, and flowers, some of which they laid on the small cairn called the Striceen at the summit, which covered the reputed entrance to Dun Fiorina's underground palace. Lovely stuff. In the evening, a great bonfire was lit near the Striceen. Samantha Healy's in the house. Hello, Samantha. A gathering on the Laois Offaly border is described by Helen Rowe in Beologus. On the last Sunday in July, the people of Mount Rath, Trumera and the surrounding districts go up on the Slieve Bloom Mountains to the slopes of Ard Éireann. They bring with them food and spend the day on the mountain. There are all kinds of games and trials of strength, and in the evening they kindle big fires, and the young men run races around the fires, and the more daring of them leap over the fires. And we see that also, that was a tradition in parts of Dublin at Bealtaine. Which I think we explored in this same book at that time. In this district, this Sunday is called Height Sunday. There are many such hill and mountain gatherings. Moira MacNeil, in her Festival of Lughnasa, enumerates 78 hills on which these assemblies were held. 9 in Connacht, which is in the west, 15 in Leinster, that's in the east, 15 in Munster, which is in the south, and 39 in Ulster, 39 up in the north. In addition to these, there are heights on which the merry secular gatherings took place at some period in the past. Took on at some period in the past a religious character and became pilgrimages or patterns. By far the most widely known of these is Croagh Patrick. The great quartzite cone of the Reek, as it is popularly known, rises abruptly from a mountain ridge on the southern shore of Clew Bay in County Mayo. The summit, 2,510 feet high, is only a mile and a half from the edge of the sea. And of course, you may have seen me sharing a picture during the week showing, or maybe last week, showing a previous Reek Sunday. And Reek Sunday is the last Sunday of July, traditionally a day upon which thousands of people climb Croagh Patrick, previously known as Croagh Patrick, but it wasn't taking place this year. I think people are being discouraged from doing so because of the COVID-19 situation. Along the ridge and leading up to the summit are 2 rough tracks, one from the eastern end and one from the western. Up these tracks, the pilgrims have come on Reek Sunday, the last Sunday in July, for over 1,000 years, to honour Ireland's patron saint, to obtain heavenly merit, and to perform penance on the spot where, according to traditions already recorded in the 7th century, the saint fasted for 40 days and nights. This account adds, "For God had said to all the saints of Ireland, past, present, and to come." Somebody, by the way, is asking, I just missed who it was, is rounders a precursor to baseball? I think it may be, because I think you have to go around and get into a box, isn't it? I can't remember the rules. It's so long. Showing my age now. "O saints, go up above the mountain, which towers and is higher than all the mountains that are towards the setting of the sun, to bless the people of Ireland, that Patrick might see the fruit of his labour, because the company of all the Irish saints came to him to visit their father. Thus already 1200 years ago, the saints are enjoined to go on pilgrimage to the top of Croagh Patrick." Other accounts, increasing in number as the years go on, testify to the popularity of the pilgrimage, although the date is not definitely given until the year 1432, when a papal letter granted a relaxation of canonical penances to those who made the pilgrimage to the top of Croagh Patrick on the Sunday before the feast of St. Peter's Chains, that is to say, the last Sunday in July. And gave alms for the support of the chapel on the summit, to which a great multitude resorted on that day. Thackeray wrote of the pilgrimage in 1843 in his Irish sketchbook. He describes the scene, expressing horror at the severity of the penance and disgust for the superstition of the misguided papists. Towards the end of the 19th century, this great pilgrimage almost came to an end because of lack of ecclesiastical favour. However, when in 1903 Dr. John Healy became Archbishop of Tuam, he had an oratory built on top of the mountain so that the pilgrimage masses could be fittingly celebrated there. Since then, the number of pilgrims has increased year by year. In 1969, it was estimated that 60,000 people took part in it. One reason for the increase is the ease of modern transport. Pilgrims now come from all over Ireland, brought by special trains and omnibuses and hundreds of motor cars, although many still travelled thither on foot in the old way. Most of the pilgrims climb the track from the east, setting out in the dark so as to reach the top shortly before dawn. Many fasting since the previous day, many in their bare feet. They pause at a number of stations, points on the track where prayers are recited. On the top of the mountain, there are masses and sermons, and Holy Communion is given. Fascinatingly, it is reckoned that the old pilgrim route from Ballintubber Abbey across to Croagh or the Croagh Patrick is just part of an older route which extended at least from Rathcroghan or Croagh as far as Croagh. And I have found that concurs with this great alignment from the east of Ireland to the west, from Inverculpa, from the place where St. Patrick first landed, through the hill of Slane, where he lit the Paschal fire, to the summit of the Reek in County Mayo. Another favourite gathering place at the Lughnasa festival was beside a lake or a river. Maura MacNeil lists 13 of these, nearly all in the North Midlands, 4 in County Meath, 3 in County Westmeath, 2 in Tyrone, and 1 each in counties Cavan, Galway, Leitrim, and Mayo. These waterside gatherings differed little from those on the hills. There were the same singing and dancing, eating and drinking, picking of wild flowers and fruit. One interesting custom was the driving of cattle and horses into the water. This is mentioned in the 1680s by Piers in his description of the county of Westmeath. On the first Sunday in harvest, viz. In August, they will be sure to drive their cattle into some pool or river, and therein swim them. This they observe as inviolable, as if it were a point of religion, for they think no beast will live the whole year through unless they be thus drenched. I deny not but that swimming of cattle, and chiefly in this season of the year, is healthful unto them, as the poet hath observed. Balantumque gregem fluvio mersare salubri. And it's interesting that if that was a custom, and I don't know how widespread that was, because the great custom, of course, of Bealtaine at the beginning of the summer was the one that we call Idir na Gá Tine, between the two fires, during which the cattle were driven between two fires, which was considered an act or a rite of purification to keep them disease-free for the coming year. Because, of course, cattle were a measure of wealth for at least 4 millennia in Ireland. They were a unit of currency almost. Well, to all intents and purposes, they were. And something like foot and mouth or red water, some sort of rampant infection in your cattle could spell disaster, not just for you as a farmer, but for your family and your community as well. But here we see at Lughnasadh a drenching or an immersion. One thinks of immersion baptism. A few months later, at the beginning of the summer, you're purifying them by driving them between fires. At the end of the summer, you're purifying them by drenching them in water. In the healthful flood, to plunge the bleating flock, but precisely to do this on the first Sunday in harvest, I look on as not only superstitious, but profane. Yes, but it's typical, isn't it, that things were seen as superstitious when in fact they were just perhaps contrary to the beliefs of Christians, when in fact these were traditions that were much, much older perhaps than Christianity in many cases. Wakefield, in his Statistical Survey of Ireland 1812, also adverts to this, and like Piers, ascribes it to superstition, that useful pigeonhole for whatever an author despises because he cannot understand it. Very well said, Kevin Danaher. August the 7th, 1808. From Castletown, Delvin, to Lord Sunderland's at Barronstown, the people are all Catholics and regular in attending places of worship. They are, however, much addicted to superstitious notions and make their horses swim in some of the lakes on Garlic Sunday, that is, the second Sunday in August, believing that this will render them healthy during the rest of the year. In places, boys mounted the horses and raced them through the lake or river. A lively description of this by one JLL under the title The Pattern of the Lough, and describing the gathering at Lough Owl in County Westmeath in the year 1808, appeared in the Dublin Penny Journal on the 7th of February 1835, part of which reads thus: "We must come to the province of Leinster, where I believe, above all other parts of this island, the patterns are still most frequently held. On the banks of the beautiful Lough Owl, situated within 2 small miles of the town of Mullingar," small miles, not big ones, "there is still a pattern held on the first Sunday in August, called among the country people the Pattern of the Lough. And the Sunday on which it falls is as marked among the festivals of the year as Easter Sunday or Christmas Day, and usually referred to by the title of Lough Sunday. The tents are usually pitched on the Saturday previous in a field adjoining to that in which the great crowd collects, and the principal attraction is the swimming of horses in the lake. Early on the Sunday morning, the multitude assemble from all quarters of the country, some for the purpose of amusement or meeting friends who live at a distance, others to settle the preliminaries of a marriage contract. A great many because it is the custom and because others go, but the greater number to meet and fight the people of an adjacent barony, or to revenge some real or imaginary quarrel or insult. Swimming horses in the lake is a favourite feat and affords much amusement to the spectators. It is also attended with considerable danger, and scarcely a year passes but some life is lost in the occasion. Matches are made, and as none but the most resolute young men and the most expert swimmers dare engage in the exercise, the sport becomes very exciting. Yet accidents more frequently occur from the terror and want of capability in the animals, so unused to such immersions and such efforts. in an element of which they are much in dread, than in the want of resolution, presence of mind, or agility in the riders. Now, we are here talking, folks, about traditions that relate to the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. It is very, very difficult to say. In fact, it is impossible to say when these things had their origins, except for, as was previously hinted at or quoted by Danaher, in the mists of time. Some of these obviously have religious undertones, but because there's a superstitious element, one imagines that this is much more than Catholic faith at work here. This is something that has bound a community together for generations and generations, perhaps for centuries, and perhaps indeed something that was pre-Christian and prehistoric indeed. Yes, Coda is making his presence felt. He's out in the yard, and he only delights at answering the call. Any other dog barks in the vicinity, then he's straight on it. He goes on to tell something of a swimming race between 5 horses, during which one horse was injured by colliding with the boat which marked the turning point, and both horse and rider were drowned. In the Ordnance Survey letters for County Mayo, an account, and that, of course, they're from the 1830s, I think, generally the first half of the 19th century. An account is given by one of the surveyors, T. O'Connor, of the customs observed in the early years of the last century at Lough Kieran, near Bohola in County Mayo. At this loch, which is a small pool in a bog to the left of the road, leading by the old church to Bohola and nearly opposite the ruin, there is usually a patron on the Sunday commonly called Garlic Sunday, but recta Garland Sunday, a name assumed from the circumstance of Ceres, the goddess of corn, being worshipped on that day, on which garlands made of the stalks of corn with the ears on were, it is said, worn in her honour. This Sunday is called in Irish Dawnach Crumdove's Sunday. The people, it is said, swim their horses in the lake on that day to defend them against incidental evils during the year, and throw spancels and halters into it, which they leave there on the occasion. They are also accustomed to throw butter into it, with the intention that their cows may be sufficiently productive of milk and butter during the year. The clod ime, or the lump of butter, thrown in at a time, does not be more than 1/4 pound weight. After the crowds have gone away, the poor who have not the necessities of life, otherwise than by obtaining them by alms from liberal or charitable persons, assemble and carry off as much of the butter as they can gather out of the lake. Isn't that shocking sad, isn't it? The poor people went into the lake to gather the butter that had been thrown there. There was formerly a tree at this place, around which the people were in the habit of fastening by a noose cords, boracha, that were used in tying cows. The Roman Catholic bishop of the diocese, in which the parish containing the old church and loch is situated, got the tree cut down in order to prevent the people from getting on with such ceremonies. So there you go. Absolutely, it wasn't a Catholic thing. It was much older than the church. The priests have dissuaded the people from getting on with their ceremonies at the lake, so far that they are altogether giving them up. Other Lughnasadh customs and beliefs. This was a favourite time for patterns at blessed wells and other local shrines. In this it resembles other great festivals, but a number of these held upon heights and apparently connected with the hill gatherings. Máire MacNeill lists and describes 13 of these, as well as 80 blessed wells venerated at this time. Of these latter, however, many seem to have no direct connection with the festival of the beginning of the harvest. It was also a favourite time for the holding of fairs. In this regard, we should remember that certain ancient éannacha, or fair assemblies, were held at Lughnasa. The metrical Dinshanachus has a long poem describing the fair of Carman, the great crowds, the presence of kings and nobles, or in our case, Queen Helen, the religious ceremonies, the buying and selling, the coming of foreign merchants, the musicians and other entertainers, the sports and games. Of course, we've had lots of episodes, haven't we, dealing with the Énochs, and of course I had a recent one about Énoch Engasa, or Énoch in Broga, Énoch and Broa at Brunabonia, and I just wonder how far back we could trace the origins of these things. And one can imagine on the floodplain of the Boyne River at Brunabonia, a great celebration at the harvest time, maybe in prehistoric times, in which there were games and trading and royal presences and musicians and sports, etc., and at which foreign merchants came to sell their wares. Another Lughnasadh fair was that of Tailtiu, the modern Tailtown. We mentioned that at the very beginning of the episode. Modern Tailtown in County Meath, of which the annals of the Four Masters record that so great was the throng at the fair in 1168, that's a year before the Anglo-Norman invasion of Ireland, that the line of horses and vehicles was 6 miles long. Wow. These assemblies have long since ceased to be held. That at Tailtown continued as a small gathering of the local country people until sometime in the 18th century. That at Corman disappeared in the Middle Ages, and even its site is not now definitely known. D.A. Binchy has shown that the political significance of these gatherings has been overestimated. They were, however, notable occasions for trading and popular entertainment. A number of fairs still held or until recently held at this season bear names like Lammas Fair, Gooseberry Fair, Bilberry Fair. The most notable of the survivors, and I mentioned this in my book about Dronehenge, is the Fair of the Puck, or the Puck Fair at Killorglin in County Kerry, formerly held on the 1st to the 2nd of August, but now on the 10th to the 12th of August, which combines trading and all the fun of the fair for all of County Kerry and even of places much further away. Thank you, Terry Lynn. And hello, how are you? Before the 1st of August, fruit cakes called Borin Brack are made. And of course, we used to eat Borin Brack, or Barn Brack as we call them for short, at Samhain at Halloween, and the ring was placed in them, and whoever got the ring got to keep the ring, and maybe, who knows, was forecasted to have good luck in romance that year. This remark by Cocubert de Montbray, a Frenchman visiting County Galway in 1791, is another example of the festive dish, but it should be considered together with cake ceremonies similar to the cake dance at Easter described above, at Lughnasadh gatherings at Drong Hill and Lughnasadh, both on the south side of Dingle Bay in County Kerry. And Lughnasadh is the Hill of the Well, or the Hill of the Wells. At both of these hill gatherings, a special cake was on display, the honour of dividing it being given to some young couple about to be married, or to the couple who danced the best. Divination to foretell the future was carried out at this time, and as might be expected at the all-important harvest season, this was mainly forecasting of weather. Floods were expected, and their course and volume were forecast and carefully observed. For instance, a paragraph in the Cavan newspaper, the Anglo-Celt, on the 31st of July 1943 observes, "Old residents say that there is no danger of Lammas flood this year, as such occurs only in a year when there is flooding in May." There you go. Many other weather signs, such as the appearance of distant hills, were considered. In County Limerick, the dome of Knockfirina was a weather portent over a wide area. If it looked blue and distant, then a fine harvest was expected. If it appeared green and close at hand, the worst was feared. In most parts of Ireland, certainly in places where the Irish language survived, the figure of Crum Dubh was associated with the festival. Wasn't there a stone? Is the stone Margaret at Grange Stone Circle near Loch Gurr, is that the stone of Crum Dubh, or is that the stone of Crum Croagh? It's Crum Dubh, isn't it? Very interesting. He was portrayed as a wizard or pagan chieftain, druid, let's call him, who opposed St. Patrick and in many legends was overcome by the saint. Other legends of Patrick's defeat of demons and pagan potentates are associated with many of the festival sites. In County Limerick, Dun Fianna, the mysterious being who lived in state with his fairy followers under Nuc Fianna, was active at this time, and the appearance of fairy creatures on the hill caused no surprise. Dun rode upon the wind and ruled the weather. He and his host battled with other fairy rulers for the crops, and the potatoes of the area whence came the defeated side were blighted. On the whole, the numerous usages and beliefs which heralded the harvest spring directly from the supreme importance of this season in the lives of the people. However, such customs as the offerings of flowers and fruit at the Striceen on Knock Fianna, or the garlanding with flowers of the largest pillar stone, formerly called Rannoch Crumdove in the Great Stone Circle at Grange beside Loch Gur, may possibly be survivals of pre-Christian religious ceremonies. And I don't doubt that is the case. So what we haven't done is dipped into Moira MacNeil more tomorrow evening. And I just wanted to briefly read an introduction to Lughnasadh from MacNeil before we proceed to finish the episode. And we'll come back to Lughnasadh tomorrow evening. This is one of the greatest works of scholarship pertaining to Irish customs that has ever been written. Widely regarded. Very expensive to buy secondhand, although I believe it is still available new. It runs to a total of almost 700 pages. Is a tome of outstanding scholarship on behalf of Moira MacNeil. Lughnasadh was one of the quarterly feasts of the old Irish year. In the very first sentence, MacNeil is affirming its antiquity. The other three were Samhain, Imbolc, and Bealtaine. This division of the year into quarters, each of which began with a festival, is well known, much taken for granted, and hitherto little studied. Caoimhín O'Donoghue, who I believe is the same as Kevin Danaher, is the Irish for his name, has been studying the problem. His paper, The Quarter Days in Irish Tradition, appeared in the Journal of Scandinavian Folklore in 1959. So there you go. It is one of the great facts of the Celtic past and the strength with which it was rooted in consciousness and has survived to this day is remarkable. And of course, this was 1962, wasn't it? I think this was published first in 1962, if I'm not mistaken, which is the year the excavations began at Newgrange. Yes, indeed, 1962. The four feasts were identified. When and how we cannot tell, with November the 1st, February the 1st, May the 1st, and August the 1st of the Julian calendar. Lughnasadh is August 1st. So is Anglo-Saxon Lammas, and there is some ground for believing that Lammas was a Celtic feast adopted by the Anglo-Saxons in England and by them given a Christian name. It means loaf mass. None of the other Germanic or Nordic peoples celebrated Lammas, and the 1st of August seems to have had no outstanding significance amongst them, which is very interesting. Barbara Murphy is looking for the title and the author. It's The Festival of Lughnasadh. I know it's back to front. And it's Moira MacNeil. N-A-I-R-E M-A-C-N-E-I-L-L. In Roman Gaul, a festival on the 1st of August was celebrated at Lughnasa, modern Lyon, in honour of the Emperor Augustus, and French Celticists think it might have been substituted for a Gaulish festival in honour of the god Lugh. The name of the town and the date, which corresponds with that of the Irish festival of Lughnasadh, make the theory most plausible. Moreover, the Gaulish calendar found at Colini, not far from Lyon, indicates that a great feast was held in the month of Rivros, which is equated with the Irish month of Lughnasadh. Riveros has been interpreted as Great Festal Month, and the notation at the 13th day of Riveros as Great Feast of the God or Gods. It seems most probable, therefore, that Lughnasadh was celebrated in the neighbourhood of Lyon and, we assume, in other parts of Gaul. Lugh's name is attached to several other towns in old Celtic regions, viz. Leon, Loudun, Leyden, etc. And at all of these, most likely, Lughnasadh was celebrated. Two great Irish assemblies are known to have been held at Lughnasadh: Éanach Tailtiu, previously mentioned, and Éanach Carmon. Éanach Tailtiu was held at Tailtiu in County Meath, and during several centuries was presided over by the king, who held chief power in all the territory north of the Central Bog and west of the Shannon, and who claimed to be the King of Ireland. Its history begins with contemporary entries in the early annals and ends with the Norman conquest. But in the early 19th century, it was found to have survived on the old site as a peasant assembly until the year of about 1770. Éanach Carmon was associated with the kingship of Leinster, but its site is not known. These ancient assemblies will be dealt with later in a separate chapter. At this stage, it need only be said that each of them was held at the grave of a mythological woman, that they were associated with ambitious over-kingships, that they were occasions for horse racing and many other diversions, that they preserved traditions of pagan origin, but that our knowledge of them comes from Christian times when they were given ecclesiastical sanction. Apart from the Éanach Tailtiu references, Lughnasadh is seldom mentioned in mythological tales. It is not comparable with Samhain, nor even with Bealtaine as a time of magical occurrences. It is, however, associated with one of the legendary invasions of Ireland, that of the Firbolg, and this perhaps is significant as the Firbolg had a legendary connection with Éanach Tailtiu. Surprisingly, there is no mythological reference to its connection with the harvest. To find the harvest connection in an early source, we must turn to Christian tradition. In the life of St. Columkill, a tale is told of a peasant to whom he sent barley seeds in June. The man complained that it was too late to sow them, but the saint said, "Let that man trust in the omnipotence of God. His corn, though sown now, when 12 days of the month of June are past, shall be reaped in the beginning of the month of August." Columkill is credited with permitting his monks to celebrate a feast which may be equated with Lughnasadh. A great festivity and merrymaking was regularly allowed by Columkill thereafter to the brethren. The growth of the crops was given to them then. 3 months were spent in tending and watering them. May, June, July, yes, from Bealtaine to Lughnasadh, effectively. He called that the Feast of the Ploughmen because it was then that the crops reached their full growth. A quatrain on Lughnasadh from a poem on the four seasons runs as follows. Lughnasadh lui ahada, kecha blina kein mara, fromad kech torage cumliad, be lusri la Lughnasadh. Lughnasadh make known its dues in each distant year, tasting every famous fruit, food of herbs at Lughnasadh, to which may be added a scribe's marginal note on another manuscript, which translates as, "Tomorrow, Saturday, is Lughnasadh Day, the day all fruits ripen." Very interesting. Lughnasadh, of course, gets its name from the god Lugh. Sanos Cormac, the 9th century glossary, describes it. Lughnasadh, i.e. the Nosad of Lugh, son of Ethla, i.e. an assembly held by him at the beginning of harvest every year at the coming of Lughnasadh. Nosad is the name for games or an assembly. Joe Butler is saying $419 to $800. Yeah. The last time I was in the old bookshop on the Hill of Tara, I'm not sure if that was last winter or if it was this spring. There was a copy for sale for about 45 or 50 euros. So look, definitely don't spend $400 or $500 or $600 on it. You'll get it for less. There are two origin stories of Éanach Tailtiu. The main one tells that it was founded by Lugh in commemoration of his foster mother Tailtiu, who died there on the calends of August. And I'm going to wrap up very shortly because we'll have to come back to it tomorrow. The other says that he founded it to commemorate his two wives, Nás and Bui. And of course, Bui was the goddess said to have been buried at Nouth in the Dinchanachus Cnoc Bui or Cnoc Bua. Nás gives its name to the modern town of Naas in County Kildare. They were sisters. These stories and other legends of Tailtiu are dealt with, in chapter 15. Of Lugh himself, it can be said that he was the most brilliant figure of the Tuatha De Danann, the divine people of Irish mythology. Our main sources of information about him are three stories. Cop Maithura, the Second Battle of Maithura, Imtachta Clonne Turil, and the later version known as Ia Clonne Turin and Baile an Scoil, which is the Phantom's Frenzy. Of course, the middle one is the tragic tale of the sons of Turin, which we referenced in the first or second episode of the entire series back in March, didn't we? Let me just check this for a second. Yes, episode 2, the coming of the sun god Lugh and the story of the children of Turin. References to him or briefer episodes concerning him occur in Toynbo Cuilnge, Compert Con Cullen, Tuchmark Emere, the wooing of Emer, in Dinchanachus legends, Laragawala, Achalona Sonorach, or the colloquy of the ancients, Keating's history, and the annals of the Four Masters. And I'm going to leave it there, because we're going to have to come back to it tomorrow. There is so much about Lughnasadh. It just could not be compressed into one episode, and I'm perfectly happy to make this a sort of a special, more than once a week until we get through this. If there's anything else that you want to know about Lughnasadh in the meantime, between now and tomorrow, please do post a comment under this video on Facebook or on YouTube, or send me an email at mythicalireland@gmail.com, so that if there's something specific, if there's something specific that you want to know about, I'll try and dig it out for you in the meantime. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is, as I say, the first of two. Don't forget, as always, I want to say thank you to Mythical Ireland patrons over at patreon.com/Mythical Ireland, which I'm pasting in as a link there. Please feel free to become a patron and to support the work, support the live streams, and support everything else that happens here at Mythical Ireland. I'd be very grateful if you did so. Don't forget, in the meantime, we are still, unfortunately, in a pandemic, even though we have passed midsummer and we're now heading towards the autumn gradually. It seems to have gone by very, very quickly, for me anyway. I don't know whether you all have the same perspective, but we have to keep doing these things, washing our hands, using hand sanitizer, social distancing, 2 meters is recommended. Wear a mask. Somebody was giving out to me at the end of one of the last episodes. Somebody made a comment on YouTube and told me to shut the F up because they didn't like me telling them to wear a mask. Wearing a mask is not just protecting you, it's protecting others as well. And so let's keep ourselves safe and sound. Tomorrow, we're coming back tomorrow. Big treat. We're coming back tomorrow to deal with more. We could, in fact, probably do 20 or 25 episodes of reading about the Festival of Lughnasadh. That's how much information there is. There's a proliferation of it. And thanks to the likes of Kevin Danaher and Moira McNeil, a lot of it has survived. In the meantime, can I bid you a very good evening from the Boyne Valley, which is still, as it has done for 6,000 years, producing wonderful crops in its very lush and productive soils. And we are very, very grateful for that, and long may it continue. In the meantime, Colo Sov, sound sleep. gach duine go léir and come back again tomorrow night. Slán go fóil. Bye for now. See you then.